Have you ever stopped yourself from doing something because you thought to yourself, well, I'm just not that kind of person? I'll be the first to tell you that I am guilty of that. For the longest, I had told myself that I'm not the kind of person to be on social media. Even with this YouTube content, I told myself for years, up until recently, that I'm not the type of person to make long form content on YouTube. I'm just not a talkative person. But here I am now, filming a long form video for YouTube. But imagine if I had held on to that self-limiting belief, then you guys would not be watching this as we speak, and I wouldn't be able to provide value to the lives of other people. And I'm a very confident person, but we all have areas in our life that we're more confident in than other areas of our life. So if you're an introvert out there and you are someone who is battling with some self-limiting beliefs, or maybe you didn't even realize that you had one, then this video is for you. First off, I want you to understand that everybody has self-limiting beliefs. It doesn't matter your personality type, so don't worry about it. It's all good. We are just here to identify those beliefs and to fix them. I felt the need to make this video though, because when it comes to self-limiting beliefs, I feel like the introvert community is hit the hardest. And that's for two reasons. Number one is because as introverts, we spend a lot of time in our heads. We reflect deeply, we replay conversations in our head, and sometimes we overthink things to the point where self-doubt creeps in and gets louder and louder and louder in our head. The second reason that you often see self-limiting beliefs in the introvert community is because society is always pushing false narratives around introverts. Society is always painting this negative portrait of introverts as being less than, as weak, as weird or awkward and unable to lead. And essentially that is conditioning, because if you hear it enough times, eventually you will start to believe it. So in this video, I want to look at 5 self-limiting beliefs that introverts struggle with and provide you with a fresh new perspective that reclaims your power and reminds you that introversion is not a flaw, but instead a superpower. And of course, there are more than 5 self-limiting beliefs, but I didn't want to overwhelm you guys in the video, and maybe in the future we can look at some more. And I'm about to get into it, but before I do, I just want to make sure to introduce myself to those who don't know me. My name is Dre, and I make relatable and empowering content for introverts. So if you're on that same wave and you want to support, I would definitely appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Time to destroy these self-limiting beliefs. Number 1, I'm not good at talking to people. This is one of the most common beliefs that introverts carry. But here's the truth, and this is coming from someone who has been a part of lots and lots and lots of conversations in his life, most of them being unwanted. What I've come to learn is that people don't want to be talked at, they want to be heard. A conversation is not a performance, and it is not a power dynamic. It's not about who can dominate the discussion or who can fill the silence the fastest. A conversation is a connection. And as an introvert, you are wired for that kind of connection. We observe, we listen actively, and we ask thoughtful questions. These are skills that actually make people feel more valued and comfortable. Think about it. How often have you been in a conversation where that person listened to you without interrupting you? It's rare. It doesn't happen often. It feels special when it does happen. And that's your advantage right there. You don't need to talk more. You just need to show up as the kind of person that people feel comfortable and safe around. The second self-limiting belief that I sometimes hear from introverts are, I'm not exciting or I'm boring. That is a direct attack on your self-worth. But here's the truth. Excitement doesn't always look like loud laughter or bold gestures or center stage type energy. Introverts often have deep passions, creative minds, and a quiet presence that people are drawn to. You don't need to be the loudest in the room to be the most impactful. People remember the person that made them feel seen. People are drawn to authenticity, not loudness. Let me give you a few examples. So with myself, I know that whenever I typically leave a function or a place or sometimes even a room, a lot of times I am trying to make an Irish exit. I'm trying to just slide out without being noticed, and I am pretty successful with that. I have a good success rate. But those times when someone does notice, it's such a big deal. It's always either, Dre, where you going? Or you leaving? Or oh, I'm gonna head out too. And me being an introvert and me being me, that is very frustrating when it happens. But at the same time, I realize it's low-key kind of a compliment too. First off, it shows that people are paying attention to you, whether you want them to or not. And it's like, why are you guys just doing that with me, the quiet guy? Why not when anyone else leaves? Also, it shows that people value your presence. Otherwise, they wouldn't have said anything. There's something about you that is alluring, or you have a certain aura, and for that reason they must find you interesting. Another example I can think of with myself, and I'm sure a lot of introverts can relate to this, is that sometimes I find myself in a group conversation, not by choice, but sometimes by proximity or just the circumstances bring you to that scenario. And in that group conversation, everybody is chatting back and forth, talking over each other, the usual, and myself, I'm typically silent for a majority of the group conversation. But when I do have something to say or contribute to the conversation, everybody stops talking immediately and just locks in. That's because they know me as someone who thinks before he speaks. They know I don't waste words. And so when I do have something to say, they perceive it as it must be valuable. And I've learned from my life experiences that the most valuable currency in this world is not money, but attention. And so if you can grab someone's attention to the point that they are speechless and highly tuned in to everything that you're saying, then by no means can you be someone who is boring and not interesting. So stop telling yourself that. Your words carry weight. You don't have to try to be interesting. You already are. The third self-limiting belief that introverts sometimes have is that they are antisocial or awkward. Let's clear up these definitions once and for all. Being antisocial means you actively avoid or reject social interaction because you don't care for it. Being awkward means you consistently struggle to engage in a socially appropriate or fluid way. Being introverted means you prefer depth over shallowness. You recharge alone and often feel drained by too much stimuli in the external world around you. It doesn't mean that you hate people or can't function in social settings. We've just been taught to associate extroversion with normal and everything else is weird. But in reality, introverts can be very charismatic, socially aware, and emotionally intelligent. We just need meaningful space and the right environment. So if you ever thought to yourself, I'm awkward because I don't enjoy small talk, well, that's not awkward, that's preference. You're someone who craves depth, real conversations, deep connections. There's nothing awkward about that. The fourth self-limiting belief that you hear in the introvert community is that I need to be more outgoing or more extroverted to succeed. And I can understand why you may feel that way because extroverts are routinely being praised and rewarded in our society. I can't tell you how many times I heard growing up that I need to get out of my shell or get out of my comfort zone to talk more and connect with people more if I want to be successful. That's a bunch of bullcrap if I'm being honest. These are people who are giving you advice that don't understand you at the core. Because when I tried to follow that advice in my life, I always ended up feeling more drained. But when I leaned into my introverted nature, I always felt more powerful and accomplished more in my life. So no, you don't need to be the loudest in the room to get ahead. There's a lot of people who can talk a lot. They have big energy, but they say a whole lot of nothing. So everything you learned growing up and what you saw associated with success, throw it out the window. That is an outdated idea of what success looks like. Success today is about clarity, consistency, and value. And as introverts, we bring all of that to the table. We don't waste words, we think before we speak, and introverts are often incredibly strategic, focused, and disciplined. And it is those very traits that allow us to thrive and be successful. And there's so many examples I could think of off the top of my head, like Michael Jordan or Warren Buffett or Albert Einstein, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Rosa Parks, Barack Obama, J.K. Rowling. You get the point. I just wanted to show you guys though that the common thread amongst all these people is that they were calm, observant, and deliberate. They actually succeeded and made a huge impact on the world because of their introverted nature. They didn't have to change who they were or try to be more extroverted. The fifth and final self-limiting belief that introverts sometimes tell themselves is that they can't be leaders because they're not loud or assertive. Listen, leadership isn't about volume, it's about vision. Great leaders don't yell, they listen. They build trust. They know when to speak and when to step back. Introverted leaders often bring calm to chaos. They provide clarity when others panic, and they inspire through integrity. So if you've ever supported a friend during a tough time, or guided someone quietly through a decision, or created a space where others could shine, then you, my friend, have led. Remember, you don't need to be the person talking the most in the meeting. You just need to be the person that people trust after the meeting is over. So those are the 5 self-limiting beliefs in the introvert community that I chose to discuss today. Hopefully, after watching this video, the next time that inner critic in your mind starts to whisper self-limiting beliefs, you can pause and ask yourself, wait, who told me that? Where did I learn that? Because chances are, it's not the truth. It was conditioning or overthinking. Your quietness isn't your weakness. It's your wisdom, it's your power, and it's your gift. So use it. If this video resonated with you, hit that like button, share it with an introverted friend who may need to hear this, and of course, hit that subscribe button to support your boy. I know I'm wrapping up this video, but the conversation doesn't have to stop here. Like I said, I can address some more self-limiting beliefs if you guys want me to in some future videos. In the meantime though, if you guys could let me know in the comments down below, what are some self-limiting beliefs that you have and are ready to let go of? Or maybe you've had some self-limiting beliefs in the past and you overcame them. So if you could please share that in the comments, that would definitely be helpful for a lot of introverts out there watching. Last thing I want to say is that if you found value in this video, if it was very helpful, I highly recommend you go watch a former video that I made in which I discussed 5 ways that being an introvert made me stronger. That video builds on this message and dives deeper into the strengths that you have that you might not even know.